Actually, one thing I would love to see, I would love to see an international nines tournament. Because I reckon that would be so cool. As we've seen, Australia, New Zealand, and, well, I suppose New Zealand dominate normal rugby union, but they definitely do not dominate dominate the seven, sorry. I think it'd be interesting to see how a Fijian side would go in the nines, or a Samoan team, that sort of stuff. I'd love to see if they would be able to contest. Maybe that's the sort of game that they would be able to grow the game over there. Given the nines game, given that format, they eat up sevens, so maybe that would be the best way as creating some interest in the international game. I mean,
hey, I know I didn't say a World Cup would happen, but I did call the international game going into the nines format. Now, I know it doesn't exactly make me a genius calling that. I guess it was kind of inevitable, but hey, I did call it in 2016. You got to give me some credit for it, please. Now, I do think what I actually said in 2016, I think it still stands to this day. In the 13-a-side game, teams like Australia and New Zealand, they're always going to be a force. They're always going to have the best teams. But with the nines format, teams aren't going to pick the strongest sides. And I think that gives us a great opportunity to see what teams like Fiji and teams like Tonga, Samoa, all those sort of sides can do. Maybe they have a chance of actually winning this World Cup, because I don't think we're ever going to see them win a 13-a-side World Cup. But hey, the nines, I think they're well within a shot of winning this. Now, if we're being realistic about the first ever World Cup, I think it's hard to go past Australia and New Zealand. But then you're adding teams like England. They have a pretty decent squad. Tonga have a very strong squad as well. In fact, let's just take a look at the squads. Actually, you know what? I can't just go into the squads. I need to take you through the pools and the actual format of the tournament. So let's take a look at Pool A. So Pool A sees Australia, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, and USA in it. And the top two teams will move on to the finals. Group B sees England, France, Lebanon, and Wales, with the top team moving into the elimination games. And Group C sees Tonga, actually not Tonga. They actually had a big dispute. I mean, it's going to be Tonga, but it's kind of not, but it kind of is actually going to be the Tonga Invitational team, I believe is what it's called. But we've got the Tonga Invitational team, we have the Cook Islands, Fiji, and Samoa. So I think that's going to be a really good pool. And once again, only the one team moving into the finals. But me personally, I don't really have too much excitement to see Group B. But Group A, Australia, New Zealand, even Papua New Guinea, pretty exciting teams. But yeah, Group C, it's hard to go past them between Tonga, Fiji, Samoa, even Cook Islands. I think this is going to be a great little pool. Also for the girls, we have Australia, New Zealand, England, and Papua New Guinea there, but I don't know too much about the girls. Now, just before we take a look at all the squads, I just want to say that I'm actually going to this, so I do have an invested interest in this tournament. Now, if I wasn't going to it, I don't know if I would care all that much about this tournament. However, I do think it's a good sign that they are actually playing some big names. Kalen Ponga, Sean Johnson, both advertised for this. I was skeptical on whether they'd actually play. However, they've both been named for their respective countries. So, yeah, it seems like teams are actually not going all out, but they're actually fielding a pretty strong side. So I'm very, very excited to see who is actually in these teams. So as you can see on the screen, I've loaded up a page on my phone. It's actually from NRL.com. It's got all of the squads and the player numbers. We're starting off with Australia here. You can see just right off the top, you can see it's a pretty strong team. Kalen Ponga, Addo Carr, Cherry Evans. I mean, they're all big name players. Surprising to see guys like Kyle Felt, AJ Brimson as well, Pappenhausen, even Ruben Garrick, Nathan Brown. A lot of these guys, they might not ever play in the 13-man side team for Australia, at least not for a long while, but I do think they'll fit this format really, really well, especially guys like Pappenhausen and Brimson, very quick and nippy. I think they'll rip apart the nines tournament, to be honest. But yeah, Cherry Evans, very crafty. Kalen Ponga is the star of the show, though. I mean, he's in the promotions, like I was just saying. But even Josh Addo Carr, I think he'll be outstanding. We saw, I think it was Gella Mosby a few years ago, tear it up for the Cowboys. And Addo Carr is a way better player than him, and he's got the same speed. So be interesting to see how he goes in the nines. But yeah, I think Australia, a very, very strong squad. Moving on to the Cook Islands, just looking at their squad, I don't really know too many of the players. I know who Alex Glenn is. He's probably the star of the show. Actually, Brad Takaruni, star of the show. I think he fits the nines format well. He's very skillful. We've seen at Parramatta, Titans, who else he played for? Roosters. He's played a number of positions. He can play in the forwards, he can play in the backs, which is why I think he's very suited to the nines team. Also, same can be said for Alex Glenn. He played centre last year for the Broncos. He played a lot of centre, a lot of back row. Very good player. I've heard of Anthony Gelling, something like that. Mataora. Mararoa is probably their best forward, though. A very, very good player. Moving on to Rugby Union, actually, next year. So his final outing in Rugby League is for the Cook Islands. So yeah, this Cook Islands side, I don't see it doing too much damage, but hey, it does have some exciting players like Takarangi and Alex Glenn, so not the worst side, that's for sure. Now moving on to another heavyweight of this tournament, we have England. They have Tom Burgess, Clark. I mean, it's not like the strongest side England could put out probably. I mean, obviously no Sam Burgess, no Josh Hodgson, but they do have some pretty good players. Sam Tompkins is someone who has nines experience, probably one of the few. Actually, I don't know if the Super League has a nines tournament either, but Sam Tompkins has definitely played in the nines. He played for the Warriors with Sean Johnson, lit it up between the two of them. They're both very good. Blake Austin is another player who I think fits perfectly into the nines format. Can do it all in terms of nines. He's a good support player, good runner, and defense. You don't have to worry about defense too much in the nines, so it should fit him well. Gareth Widdop, another one. George Williams moving to the Raiders next year. Jermaine McGilvery, very, very good player. I expect him to score a few tries in this tournament. But yeah, England looking like a pretty strong side. Now we move on to a team who I think is maybe one of the most exciting teams of the tournament. We have Fiji. Kevin Nagwama is a captain, a lot of experience in the NRL. Sivo, probably the most exciting player in the NRL period. He was very, very good last year. I think he'll rip apart the nines. Even guys like Vunivalu, Wonga Blake should be exceptional in the nines. He's got all the skills for the nines. Abby Coruscant, I think he's a good suit for the nines. I don't know if he's going to play hooker or in the halves. I believe he plays in the halves for Fiji, but either way, he's going to be good. He's quick and nippy. He's going to work well. And then the star of the show for them is Kickout. I think he's outstanding. He's so hard to stop in 13-man side. How a team's going to stop him in 9 side, I don't know. I think he's going to have an absolute field day. But yeah, this Fiji side, it's not the best side, but it is a very good side. I expect them to score a lot of points. Now moving on to the France side, I don't really know too much about them. I'm not going to talk about them in depth or anything. I think the only player I've heard of is that Jason Battieri, something like that. I'm surprised the guy who played for the Roosters a few years ago isn't in the squad. I can't even remember his name, so maybe that says all about him. But yeah, this France side, maybe the nines is the format for France. Who knows? I don't think 13 side is, but yeah, I don't know. I guess are they a decent rugby team? French rugby is pretty popular. Maybe they're okay at the sevens. Maybe they'll be okay at the nines. I don't really know. Now moving on to another team who's had a bit of a controversial last 12 months, maybe even a bit longer. Kind of like Tonga. Except this one, there was no sort of doubt that they were going to play. However, their squad, I believe like a lot of their team isn't allowed to play. So that's why you don't see guys like Robbie Farrow or Michael Leacher, Josh Mansell, and none of those guys. However, we do see the Robinson brothers. They're the only ones that I sort of know who they are. I think James Romanos at the end. I think I've heard of him. But apart from that, haven't really heard of any of the others. So yeah, this Lebanon team doesn't really impress me too much. I just can't see them doing very well in this tournament. Moving on to a team who I do think will do really well in this tournament, we have New Zealand. I think they're arguably the favourites. You look at their side, they're just strong all over. I mean, there's no real weaknesses. Even maybe the defence is a bit weak, but I mean, it is the nines. But in terms of their players, their backs are strong, forwards are strong, halves are strong. I don't know. I just really like this New Zealand side. Sean Johnson is obviously their main man, but he's got a lot of players who complement him. Dylan Brown will work well. Cody Nikarima. Even guys like Nicole Klodstad should do well. Nakora is skillful. Howard and Nara, I think, will tear apart the nines. Just those sort of quick back rowers with lots of skill. The offloads, I think they'll do well in New Zealand. I think they'll make the grand final. Moving on to the Papua New Guinea side, I think they're kind of dark horses. Now, looking at their squad real quick, they don't really have many big name players. The only guys I recognise is Justin Olam, who currently plays for the Storm, and Reece Martin, used to play for the Bulldogs, currently at Leeds, I think. But the rest of them are guys I assume are in their PNG Hunters Queensland Cup side. If not, forgive me. But I'd expect a lot of the guys have played with each other, plus Papua New Guinea. I feel like they throw it around probably, which will probably suit the nines format. I don't really know. I haven't seen a lot of Queensland Cup, so I don't really know the Papua New Guinea play style. But based off the guys who are in the NRL, your Seguiaros and Baptiste and that stuff, they're very quick and nippy. And yeah, it's a shame we don't get to see some of those guys, but hey, Seguiaro, he did it to himself. Now we move on to Samoa, and I've got to say, looking at their squad, straight up, I think it's a very, very strong squad. A lot stronger than what I would have thought. Now, before I looked at it, I knew they had some decent players, but I didn't think it was going to be that good. Now, between them and Tonga, I think Tonga's probably going to have the better team. But, I mean, Joey Leilua, Brian Tuo, I think they'll do very well. Jerome Luai, another good player who I think will suit the nines. Even guys like Michael Cheekham, who are quite, kind of like what I was talking about before with Harry Onara, the sort of, you know, kind of quick and skillful. I think Cheekham fits the bill there. Luciano Leilua, the brother of Joey Leilua. I think it's a good side, and also George Tafua on the bench. Can't wait to see him put on some big hits. I'll definitely be cheering on big George Tafua. Now, I just touched on them briefly just before, but Tonga, actually, the Tonga Invitational team, not actually Tonga, but they have a lot of Tongan players. We have a pretty strong side. Maybe, I don't know if it's their strongest side. I know Wai's not there. I think he would have been good in the nines, but go down the bottom here. We have Tamalalo, Davida Pengai Jr., and Andrew Fafita, as well as like 700 towers. But between those three, add in Offhand Gowie, an Origin player as well. That is a super strong team. I definitely expect to see them in the Final Four with Australia, New Zealand, and probably England. I can see them even winning this. That is a very, very strong side. I think you're going to see them employ some different tactics compared to some of the other sides. I feel like New Zealand and Australia, you see they've got Ponga and Johnson and stuff. Going to be quite steppy and just play at a fast pace, where I think Tonga, they will just try and bash it. I think that's what they'll do. They'll just bash their way through, maybe get an offload here or there, just for feeder. And Tamala, they'll either go super, super good or they'll be dreadful. But I'm thinking they'll go pretty good. Now, the next two teams I'm just going to talk about very, very quickly. We have USA here. I don't really know too many of their players. Apart from Ronaldo Mulatalo, I believe he plays for the Sharks right now. I think he was the guy who got sin-binned in the New South Wales Cup final or something like that. But he did play a little bit of first grade at the back end of the season. He's a winger, probably their star player, I guess. Eddie Pettyborn there as well has played a bit of NRL. I think Barreto Faremo has as well. Apart from that, though, not really too many big names or anything, so can't really comment. They're probably all actual USA players or something. Guys who are actually in America, maybe playing for Toronto. I don't know. I know it's Canada, but it's pretty close. And then for Wales, I literally don't know any of these players at all. Like, not even one player. Kind of like France, to be honest. I don't really know any of the players, so probably not got a comment on it. However, they do have easier surnames. So, I mean, I can say Williams. I mean, Elliot Keir, probably got that right. He's their captain. Davies, lots of Davies and stuff. There's actually a few Davies there. So, yeah, just an easier version of France with surnames. I don't really know too much about them. So those were the squads. In terms of making a prediction, you see on the screen, I have picked New Zealand to win it. I think New Zealand will personally win it and they'll beat Australia. I don't know about scorelines or anything like that. The nines are just going to be so hard to predict because we've never seen anything like this. And what we have seen in the past is the NRL nines, where there's been lots of, I don't know, sort of reserve grade under 20 sort of standard team. So I don't really know what to expect going into this. However, I just think this New Zealand side is going to be a little bit too strong. Fractionally better than the Australian side. However, if Australia wins, I mean, it's not a surprise to me either. If Tonga wins, if anybody wins, really, the only surprise would be if like USA or Wales win. Anyway, guys, leave in the comment section below, who do you think is going to win this Nines World Cup? Also, what are your thoughts in general of this Nines World Cup? Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to end the video. That's all I got to say. Just a short little one. I'm trying to work out the kinks of this new camera, so apologies if things look a little bit weird. But if you did happen to enjoy it still, make sure you go ahead and smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and also add me on Snapchat. It's the same as what's on the screen. It's Mr. Luke on YT. Definitely add me on Snapchat if you want to see me posting stuff from the ground, because that's where I'm probably going to post that or Instagram. Also, go ahead and give my Facebook page a like, just Mr. Luke. Been posted on that a little bit. But yeah, that's all I really got to say. The video's over and done with. Hopefully the Nines World Cup is going to be a good one. I'll try and do some more videos on the Nines World Cup. But in terms of this video, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.